Well, the day has finally come. Welcome to my non-spoiler review of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Hi there, Ghaha Bran, nice to meet you. While another video is for non-spoilers, there's not really much I can get into without getting into spoilers. But before all that, let me read off my original draft of my review for this movie. I really liked it, but the main negative for me is that the movie kind of relies a little bit too much on fan service, and that's why this movie is kind of hard to review, because I can't really separate the fan service from the actual movie, so it's hard to judge this movie on its own merits. Now, this all changed when I watched the movie again with these criticisms in mind. The honest truth is, I can't really bring myself to be very critical of this movie without looking past everything else. I physically cannot think of negative things to say about it, yet I know it's not a perfect movie. My only issue with it is in maybe the first act, it doesn't feel as urgent as it should be. Maybe in the very beginning, it's pretty urgent, but a little bit after that, once like damage control comes in, it's just not that dire to me. I was hoping for a tone very much like Infinity War, where it's just kind of like tension throughout the whole film, or something like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, where it's just like they're always on the run, they're always in hiding. I just didn't get that from this film, but at the same time, that's something I wanted and something I expected. That's not actually the film's fault. But other than that, this movie excels at my favorite concept in storytelling, and that is payoffs. If you watch the Raimi movies, if you've watched the Amazing Spider-Man movies, if you're just a fan of Spider-Man, you watch the MCU movies, you played the PS4 game, you will get something out of this movie. You need to watch this movie. It's a Spider-Man movie, not just a MCU Spider-Man movie, not just an MCU solo Spider-Man movie or Tom Holland movie. It is a Spider-Man movie. It pays off all of that dedication you've had to all the different iterations of Spider-Man, and most importantly, it pays itself off. It earns its own victories. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, watch this movie. If you're not a fan, but you're interested enough to actually look up and watch a review of this movie, just like you're doing right now, then you gotta watch it. You're going to get something out of this. And that's why I assume you've already watched the movie, and that's also why I'm ending the non-spoiler review section right here, and we are entering the spoiler review section of this movie. Let's just start off with some stuff that I really enjoyed about this film. First of all, William Dafoe as Green Goblin was just astonishing. My initial criticism with this film was that Green Goblin was only a good villain because he was built up in Spider-Man 1. And that's not completely false, but then I started seeing Green Goblin as just a villain for Spider-Man as a whole. And like I said, this is a Spider-Man movie, not just Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie, a Spider-Man movie. Green Goblin stands against all of the ideals of Spider-Man, and that's why it makes him such a great villain to end this trilogy with. In fact, to end this whole Spider-Man saga with. But on the flip side, you know what villain was kind of whack? Sandman. Sandman should have been a good guy in this movie, because what's his motivation? He wants to go home, right? And he knows that Peter is his only way home. So why is he fighting Peter for the box? Yeah, I get it. He wants to take the box by force and send himself home. You honestly don't need to fight Peter. You know he's Spider-Man. You know he's a good guy. You could have fought with him, and you could have just gone home right after that. It probably would have been less of a hassle, to be honest. But on a high note, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are definitely the highlight of this movie. And strangely enough, I enjoyed Andrew in this movie a lot more than I enjoyed Tobey in this movie, despite liking Tobey's movies more. And I think it has something to do with the energy each of them were putting off. Just seeing Andrew Garfield blurt out Peter number 3, just put the dumbest smile on my face, and I just really loved the positive, energetic, happy-go-lucky energy he was putting off in the movie. Meanwhile, Tobey was a lot more introverted and kind of closed off, and I understand that his Peter is definitely the quietest out of all three of them, but still, he just felt kind of off for me. He felt even more closed off than how he usually is in his own movies. But I'm not going to complain anymore. Just seeing these three on screen together is a massive feat. It's the type of thing that just makes me love existing during this time period. I got to see this and Endgame in real time in the theaters, and I got to experience with tons of people and with my friends and family, and that just it's absolutely insane. It makes me happy. And let's not forget the main character of this whole movie, Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Tom Holland is bringing his A game into this film, and the amount of intensity and just raw stakes he's bringing into the movie is just perfect. Seeing the three Spider-Men run together and just swing together, that was really good. That was just absolutely perfect. I wouldn't have it any other way. Seeing Tom Holland's Spider-Man fight Green Goblin at the end on the back of Cap's shield, that's also just a really good scene. Pretty much this movie, to me, in my eyes, becomes an absolute joy to watch right when Spider-Man's spider senses set off and he shoots Green Goblin's hand with the web. There's a lot more I want to talk about this movie, but I think I've kind of touched on every single piece of it that I've wanted to mention and solidify in this video. So I think I'll just stop the review here. Go ahead and watch my top 5 favorite moments from Spider-Man Homecoming right up there, aka my former favorite MCU solo movie. We have finally found my Homecoming killer. If you didn't know, Spider-Man Homecoming has been pretty much my absolute favorite MCU movie, minus Endgame. But ever since Homecoming came out, I have just loved Homecoming to death. But I think No Way Home is the thing that will dethrone it. So, and of course with that, yes, I would definitely rewatch Spider-Man No Way Home. Comment what you thought about the movie. I want to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and put spoilers. It's past opening weekend. I think we can start talking about this stuff. Like and subscribe to the channel. And catch me next week for my review of The King's Man. I'll see y'all later. Bye.